All right, welcome back to this class. Let's talk about changes that matter undergoes. Basically, matter undergoes two types of changes, namely the physical change and the chemical change. So now we are going to look at each one of them one after the other, starting with the physical change. Yes, you see, physical change is a type of change that is not permanent. Let's just say physical change is a type of change that is temporary, in which no new substance is formed. So it means physical change does not change the identity of the substance that undergoes the change. So it's just a temporary change that doesn't change anything. We just observe the change physically, and then the object or the substance can return back to its original form. So in other sense, we can say that physical change is reversible. It means we can always reverse the substance that undergoes the change back to its original shape or size or substance, the original form. So in this kind of change, there will be no permanent change in mass of the substance. And this type of change actually require little or no amount of heat at all. So right now, we have to consider some examples of this kind of change. Let's see that. So let us see some examples. Now, first, those changes in the states of matter, that is, those interchange in the state of matter, like change of solid to liquid, liquid to gas, gas back to liquid, and gas and liquid back to solid. All those ones are physical change. So let's start by the first one by saying melting of solid to liquid. That's a physical change that can reverse back from liquid back to solid. For example, when ice melts down to water, the water can still be converted back to ice by freezing. So now watch this example. When an ice melts down to water, the water can be frozen back to ice. This is the changing process. So you can see that this is a reversible process. So it's an example of physical change. Now, another example that we can have is when water is boiled to form steam. So that is, if we boil a particular liquid to form gas, so it's possible that the gas turns back from gaseous form to liquid form. For example, when water is boiled to form steam, the steam can be turned back from from gaseous form to the liquid form through condensation process. So now watch the changing process. If this is water, so the water can boil down, it can boil to form steam. So this is steam, this is water vapor. Then the steam can be condensed or liquefied back to form water. All of these are temporary change. That is, they are physical change. Another one is sublimation process, sublimation of some solid substance. From there, we can get a vapor directly without passing through the liquid state. So when we sublime such solid, there are some solid that have that property of changing directly from solid straight up to gas. So a good example is iodine crystal. It can change directly from the solid state to the gaseous state, and then from the iodine vapor back to the iodine crystal. So now watch the diagram. You can see how iodine crystal looks. These are iodine crystal looks. Now, this is iodine vapor coming out of the crystal. So if you expose it to the atmosphere and you supply heat, so after some time, you will see the vapor of the iodine coming out straight. So this is an example of substance that changed directly from solid state to liquid state. And after some time, if we can collect the vapor will later deposit back to the original iodine crystal. So now let's see some other examples of physical change. Another one is magnetization and demagnetization. So these two, they go together. There are some substances that are called magnetic substances. So there are substances that can be attracted by a magnet. So any substance that can be attracted by a magnet is called magnetic substance. So they can be classified into three types. So we have the ferromagnetic materials, and we have the diamagnetic materials, and we have the paramagnetic materials. So let me briefly explain the three of them. The ferromagnetic substances or materials, they are very, very strong. They have strong magnetic properties. So because both the two poles of magnet can attract the ferromagnetic substances. But the diamagnetic material, these ones cannot be attracted at all to a magnet. So they are not really magnetic material. Now, the third one, which is paramagnetic material, this one, they have weak magnetic properties. So because they can only be attracted to one pole of the magnet, either the north pole or the south pole. But the main one are the ferromagnetic material. Those ones, they have strong magnetic property. So now, magnetic materials, we have many examples of them. So now, examples of magnetic materials are iron, steel, cobalt, nickel, manganese. All of these have magnetic properties. So now, examples of non-magnetic materials are copper, wood, glass, brass, and plastic. All of these cannot be attracted by a magnet. So now, what is magnetization? So magnetization is the process of turning a magnetic material into a magnet. That is, we can pick any of those magnetic material, whether an ion, then we turn it to a magnet. So it will start behaving like a magnet. What's the behavior of a magnet? A magnet can attract and repel. A magnet can attract a magnetic material. So the ion that we just magnetize will also now start attracting like a magnet. So that's the meaning of magnetization. Then demagnetization is the removal of that magnetic property from that substance. For instance, if we don't want it to behave like a magnet again, so that's demagnetization. So you can see that both magnetization and demagnetization are opposite to each other. So now this can happen through electrical method or mechanical method. So that is, both magnetization and demagnetization can be done through electrical or mechanical method. The electrical method involves the use of a solenoid. So you will learn more about all of these in subsequent videos. So this is how a solenoid look. So the ion or the metal that I want to magnetize will be put inside a coil of conductor. So the conductor can be copper wire or other conductors. So now this magnetic material is inside it. So now we are going to wind the coil around it, then we connect it to a source of electricity. So current will flow. Through the current of flow, then the substance will be magnetized. And if we want to demagnetize it, we will make sure current flow in the opposite direction to the direction of magnetization. So the demagnetization will flow in the opposite direction. So that's how to magnetize and demagnetize using solenoid. Then the other method is mechanical method. This is just by rubbing a magnet over the magnetic substance. After some time, it will gain magnetic property. And if you want to demagnetize it, we rub it in the opposite direction. So for the mechanical method, so you can see there is contact between the magnet and the magnetic material. So it can be single contact or double contact. Both are known as contact method, and they are mechanical method. So we'll talk about this later in physics subsequently. Just know that both magnetization and demagnetization, since we can reverse them, they are both physical change. Let's give one more example of physical change. So now, dissolving salt in water. Salt is sodium chloride. If you pour sodium chloride inside water, it will dissolve and become a solution. So such solution, we can reverse our salt back. We can get back our salt by sacrificing the solvent. That is, we evaporate it to dryness. That's the method of recovering the salt back from the solution. So now, this is salt. Watch the way the salt is poured inside water. So it's going to form a true solution of sodium chloride, whereby the salt can no longer be seen at all. It will not cause Tyndall effect. So now, here, this is the setup for evaporation to dryness. We add continuous heat to the solution so that we sacrifice our solvent, which is the water. The water will be gone forever, then we recover our salt back. So you can see that this is a physical change. So this is another example of physical change. We have many other ones. We talk about that in subsequent videos. So we shall be moving to chemical change next.